Hello everyone, welcome to the Imperial Holonet. I'm JID123,
I'm Red the Antilles.
And I'm Miracle.
and it's now
Now
time
we're
for the
finally
news.
on summer.
Yay!
Yay! Even though
Stuff.
it's been what
Stuff.
stuff. Yes, I've been on summer though for a few weeks though, so
Same
I'd
here.
beat you there.
It's a lot of fun.
Now we can all do Clone Wars stuff.
Yay! Anyway, let's get on with the news. So, Red, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So Bryan Singer apparently plans to step away from the X-Men film franchise.
But not forever.
But not forever, which I like Bryan Singer a lot, so I don't want to see him go, but I agree with Steve that maybe it is time for a change of pace, so it would be good to see maybe him take more of a backseat role for the time being. Maybe kind of be like how Whedon is, and then you get, somebody else like the Russo brother sort of thing for this franchise. Like, Vaughn can be the Russo brother, so he can be...
I was going to say, couldn't we get Matthew Vaughn back?
Yes, get Matthew Vaughn back.
I've actually heard something interesting. On a separate podcast, they had a theory that the reason why Days of Future Past was so good was because by that point Matthew Vaughn had already built so much of this film.
Probably.
But he left before that movie could get shot. Before it could get shot. Oh, that sounds horrible. They shot the film.
Hey, it's Old Yeller.
It's Old Yeller.
Oh, that was dark, y'all.
Just put a gun in Bryan Singer's hands, and he has to shoot Iceman.
Iceman. Yeah, but they shot.
Bobby's just like, Brian, I thought you cared about it. It's Scott. Yet again, it's Scott. And he's like, stop shafting me. I'm sorry, Scott. I have to.
As Barry Allen once said, he got the
Shades
shaft.
is just like cradling the body, and he's like, no.
But yeah, the theory was that Matthew Vaughn had created so much of Days of Future Past that before he had time to direct the film, they brought in Singer.
I don't know. I think a lot of that film is great because of direction and stuff like that. I think Singer is a massive part of why that film works. It's just that was lightning in a bottle.
Maybe. It's possible. But yeah, we nice to see some diversity in X-Men films.
So, Flash gets a new director who is named Helmer Rick Famu. How do you pronounce that?
Let's see.
It's just not even Helmer.
It's Rick Famuyiwa.
It's just the Helmer of that project. I thought that was his first name. I'm an idiot.
Returning the deadline for
So we got he's done
some movie called Dope.
Yeah.
And
I
The
don't know this
Wood,
guy.
Brown Sugar, and Our Family Wedding. Never heard of them.
So this is
News.
I have no strong feelings one way or another.
I have no strong feelings one way or another.
It's just, I wish I could get excited about DC casting news, but it doesn't seem to me like they're really this might be a risk. So people, if you think this is a risk, please tell me, but it doesn't really sound like they're taking any huge risk. And maybe that's what they're trying not to do after Batman v Superman.
We'll talk about risk in a moment.
But wouldn't you? But my point is, wouldn't you want to take a little more risk in order to pull yourself out of the?
Isn't this kind of a risk?
Is it?
I guess. This is a nobody director, at least as far as I'm concerned. He might be somebody, for all I know. Red?
It might.
You were about to say something?
Huh?
I thought you were about to say something, Red.
Nope.
Okay, sorry.
But couldn't we get a variety of? I mean, yeah, nobody is great and all, but this, I don't know. Something about this just feels kind of off. It just doesn't. Maybe it's just me feeling a hard time trying to care about what DC is doing nowadays. Hopefully, I'll change by Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Speaking of DC.
Well, let's go on to something that is both exciting and really terrifying. The Ultimate Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition trailer has been released.
I have no faith in it whatsoever.
I have I have no faith in it, but I really, 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 really hope it's good, and it needs to be good.
I don't think so. I blame Snyder for everything. I just don't see.
It's just watching this trailer again made me realize just how excited I was for this film when it was coming out, and just how much I wish this film was great, because it looks amazing in the trailers, and there's so many great ideas in terms of character stuff.
The
But
problem
it just
is,
doesn't
though,
make it into the film. And I think additional time won't fix it. I think things don't need to be added. I think things need to be cut.
exactly. I think
Like
that was my
Martha.
point. As I think you would have to pull scenes from this movie and rearrange this movie to the point where it's almost a different movie in its execution.
This
That's
film
the
needs a
only
good
way you can
fan
make
edit.
this work.
This film needs a good
Yes.
fan edit. I don't think it would save the film.
I think it needs to not just edit out scenes, but like add stuff, but remove stuff. Like redo entire scenes.
Exactly.
Like cut it and then reshoot that plot point from a different, with a different outcome.
I actually
The
wouldn't
problem
mind
is they're
just
not
if
going to
you-
waste.
Yeah.
The problem is this is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has this film broken $1 billion yet?
No.
No, nope.
Okay, well, you got to keep in mind here, folks. To Warner Brothers said initially that this.
871 million.
Okay, here's the thing, people. This movie had to break $1 billion in order for Warner Brothers to consider it a success. So basically, this film is a failure to them. So with that in mind, they're not going to allot that kind of money to do that. I would love for them to reshoot certain scenes and do that. But the sad part is we're probably never going to get that. And it's really sad too, because some parts of this would be amazing if you just had a different structure to it.
I mean, they doubled their money, to be fair, but still.
I would just
Yep.
want to know, like,
That's just on the film itself, though. They spent a lot more on marketing.
I just want to know, like, how do you go forward? Because, like, do you reboot? Do you just ignore things and just move forward?
Well, okay, we'll put this. I guess we'll just go ahead and talk about
like
it.
Mr.
We'll do.
Like Mr. TARDIS wants, like, a reboot after Justice League.
We'll
What were
talk
you saying,
about. I
George?
guess we'll just talk about this here and just call this news / future of DC speculation, whatever. But
Try to keep it short, though.
I was talking to Curious Low about this earlier, and I said this. I said even if Suicide Squad is generic and nobody goes to it, I don't know if a reboot after that would work.
Generic and bad, or just generic and...
Generic and people don't go to it. You've got to get people to come to these movies. If you don't, you're not going to get. Then why are they going to continue making movies at this franchise if nobody goes to them?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that again.
And Suicide Squad could be the
Make it or
key-
break it.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
let's go.
There's
Especially
a
for
lot
me.
riding on it. And that film has gone through reshoots already. So
And we'll get to that again later.
Yeah, I mean,
Suicide Squad's going to be the big
want this-
test for me, because as someone who doesn't read Suicide Squad and didn't really care about the Will Smith thing, even though I understand completely where everyone's coming from, that film's going to be the big test to see, okay, I am the general audience idiot who doesn't know anything about comics in terms of Suicide Squad. Do I like this film just as a film itself without any of that, Suicide Squad stuff?
and that's going to be the only reason people go to them is if they're good.
Yeah. Sorry, Red, I interrupted you. Did you want to say something?
it's just, I really, really want this film to be good. I wanted this film to be so good, and I when rewatching this, and I will definitely buy this, possibly even the day it comes out, because I want to love this film. I really do. Freaking give it the benefit of the doubt as much as possible, and it just let me down so much, but I still want to love it because it's DC. And it's funny because the reason I have so much faith in it, the reason I'm so optimistic about DC, or just about this in general, is because of being a DC fan of the comics. And those comics, no matter how bad DC gets, at least until recently with stuff like Rebirth, they always manage to pull themselves out of the ruts. They always manage to pull through, and I think that will happen with the movies. I have faith in them that because that's the thing with DC. Marvel always strikes gold and then just oversaturates itself. This is what happened in the 80s with the comics, where DC was bankrupt as all hell, and Marvel could have bought DC
That would be interesting.
in the 1980s,
Yeah.
and they said, we will fire. They're like, okay, by the way, before we sign the contract, we're going to fire like 90% of your staff, and we will only put up Legion, Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, and Justice League. Those were the only books. And the head of DC, I think it was Paul Levitz at this time, or maybe it was Archie Goodwin, one of those two, was just like, you know what? We're going to stick through this. We're going to I'm not going to fire my employees just so that a few of us, at top can get, some money out of this. I'm going to stick with DC. We're going to stick through it. And Marvel was doing amazingly successful at the time.
Ooh, they're
And
not
guess what it led to? The speculator boom. And nearly destroyed the comic book industry. And who was consistently great throughout the speculator boom and who grew great because of that and who saved the comic book industry during the speculator boom? DC. The company that made out more money from its figures than it did from its comics for almost a decade. And they pulled through. And that's why I always will have faith in DC, because they go through so much crap. And Detective Comics got canceled in the 70s at one point. Like DC always, screws up. But it always, it's Batman Begins. Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. That's DC in a nutshell. And I want that to happen. I need it to happen. And I think it...
I don't believe in
I
faith.
need to believe that it will be... I need to believe that
proof.
at least the future of these films, or... I don't think the Ultimate Cut will fix it. I feel like a lot of these problems are just inherently bad with the film.
So basically what you're saying is that the DC extended universe, or the cinematic universe, whatever you want to call it, it's going to start off bad but then get good later down the line?
I think it probably...
If you watched it all in, like, let's say you decide to do a marathon in continual order or whatever, release order, whatever. Like, you start with Man of Steel and move forward to 20 years later, whatever we get.
Well, we need to do what DC did back in the day that saved them, which was diverse books. Because what saved DC was a lot of stuff like Swamp Thing and Starman and Justice Society and stuff like that. They took a lot of risks.
I would love to see
and
that.
Stuff like Suicide Squad is a risk, and a Shazam film is a risk. But of course, you need to have also like your main franchise films like Batman. But that's what's great. They're mixing the two. You can have...
Oh, yeah, that's what I would love to see them do, like, the Blue Beetle. I'd love to know these guys who I don't know because, I'd love to see the small characters get big names and big movies.
Exactly. What makes DC so great is its legacy. And that's what they need to build off of.
My question is, can we do that with Snyder?
No, we need to axe Snyder immediately, get Affleck in charge,
Which I think they're trying to do. I think they're trying to do it.
Don't do what the comics and the TV shows are doing, because what we keep doing is, because the New 52 made Earth 2, or made it what it used to be, where the Justice Society is young and on Earth 2, and then then we're kind of getting that with the Justice Society in the TV shows, and in the movies, other than Batman, everyone else is really young. I don't want that. I think we need the Justice Society somewhere out there. And what's great is there are implications that the JLA is around, or the JSA was around at one point, or at least that there were other heroes. I mean, Zatara is in universe, is canon. I feel like you have to make it feel like this is a larger universe, and just don't make it one big story. Just tell your little good progressions and your little stories and build to the greater whole.
Wouldn't it be ironic if we live in this era of superhero films that once Marvel is done with Phase 3, because that's when I think Marvel's going to start finally having some problems, because everything's building up to Infinity War.
And all their actors are probably going to either...
Marvel does the thing it did the comics, it oversaturates, and DC's the one to say the superhero film. Like, because I think we're finally getting to that point of, there's so many gosh darn superhero films, we might start finally having fatigue. I'm not going to have fatigue, obviously, but...
Well, at the very least, they're rushing through their... I don't think Marvel's rushing through its films too fast, but, who knows with what will happen soon. And again, DC is taking risks, it seems. I feel like just they want to do the MCU thing, and I feel like you have to just cancel Justice League and just build up your universe first.
Yeah.
Or you could have started with Justice League. At least I agree with that.
Well, you can't do that now.
I know you can't do it now.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
But I feel like you could have. Like, heck, I got introduced to the Marvel Universe through Avengers, and I didn't watch any of those other films. They definitely helped down the line, but I didn't watch them first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's our little future of DC.
So yeah, pretty much in conclusion, why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. Learn it, Snyder.
Or just go away. Or go away. That too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Pick yourself up, and then get your ass kicked out of the door. Then
pick yourself up and show yourself up to the door.
Pick up your
later.
stuff. Clean your desk.
Make sure you take that.
Pack home. Pack up. You're through.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Why can't I make a man out of you?
Yeah, Joel knew where I was going with that.
Kick him out.
Okay. Vader helmet now?
Yeah. We
Okay.
have a really cool prop thing that is the burnt Vader helmet, but we also have a Poe motherfucking Dameron helmet, which is $1,500, and I must buy it.
So
We have
save
a
up,
Finn
Red.
helmet replica, which is $1,750. The Vader helmet, which is $3,500, which is burnt. The Kylo Ren helmet, $2,000. Chewie's bowcaster, $2,500. Kylo Ren's lightsaber, $1,250. Rey's lightsaber, which should say Anakin slash Luke slash Rey, which is $1,250. And Rey's staff, which is $1,250. Please be Plagueis the staff. Please be Plagueis the staff. Please be Plagueis the staff.
That's not gonna happen, you know that, right? You know that's not gonna happen.
You understand what sarcasm is, right?
Okay. I have trouble identifying sarcasm.
Vader's helmet looks really weird in this image, by the way.
Oh,
But,
yeah. Well, it's burned. You're seeing it from different angles.
I know, it's just so funny. But yeah, so this, you get to have a replica of Vader of a serial killer's burnt mask.
That'd be awesome. I want one.
So for any of you rich collectors out there, this is right up your alley, so go nuts.
I mean, I still need to buy my Wedge Antilles replica helmet before I can buy my Poe one, but I'll get there.
You'll get there one day. Okay, is it my turn now for the big one?
Still Pokemon news.
Alright, Pokemon.
Go
We
for it.
have,
Pokemon.
we finally, because we knew the Japanese names for the legendaries, because the domain names had been taken, but we finally got the English names. The Sun starter is Psychic and Steel, and it is named Solgeo. Its ability is Full Metal Body, which I think cuts attacks in half, and it has the new specialty move, which we do for the most part with all Pokemon these days for legendaries. And it is, hold on, I'm trying to find what the name of the move is. Sunsteel Strike. Then we have the name of the Moon starter, which is the giant bat thing, Lunala, Psychic and Ghost, with the ability being Shadow Shield. And it's, I love this thing, just this giant bat, thing. It looks so cool. And its move, I'm forgetting, is Moongeist Beam. We also know that now know that the Alola region is bigger than we thought it was, or several islands. The professor is named Kukui. He has an assistant named Lily, who seems like she'll be integral to the plot. And How, I think is his name. And he will be your rival, your friendly rival character for this generation.
He's scary.
So yeah. Well, these days we're having rivals who are more so your friend than anything, who are not mean. And we have a big reveal, which is so weird, and I don't know how this is going to turn out, but it's brilliant. The Pokedex is now a Pokemon. It's Rotom from Gen 4. So your Pokedex is actually a sentient Pokemon.
Nice.
And that's awesome. I don't know if you actually get to use the Rotom, but I am so excited for this because it feels so weird and kind of random, but I like that idea. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. On to you.
I don't play Pokemon, but it does sound interesting. I haven't.
I mean, your Rook One thing, but yeah.
Oh, right.
So on to Jules' massive rant.
It's not just a rant. It is my nemesis. I will hunt it around the moons of Vega 6 and flames before I give it up. I'm sure I butchered that. I'm sure I butchered that. I butchered that line, but oh well. Okay, so this started around. I want to say it was Monday. I think it might have been Monday because this has been going on all week.
I think it is.
Okay, so couple back on Monday, there was an article that said Rogue One and execs not happy. Rogue One reshoots happening. I thought it was just clickbait at first, silly.
Oh, here it is. I'll chase him around the moons of Nebula and round Antares, Melistorm and round Perdition's flames before I give him up.
Exactly. So what happened was the day afterwards, a bunch of other news sites, which I trust a little more, started reporting this idea of Rogue One's in trouble, reshoots are abound. And that
And
happens.
of course, actors themselves like Donnie Yen.
Oh yeah, actors himself. Well, Donnie Yen did say there was going to be reshoots. That's for sure. He didn't say Rogue One was in trouble. He just said there was going to be reshoots. Then
Well,
more.
people always think it means it's in trouble because film's totally it's related to a reshoot.
Exactly.
That's not a common part of the filming process.
No. So everyone thought, oh, Gareth Edwards in trouble. Like, and then
He's getting sent to the principal's office.
Exactly. No. Darth Vader came to him and said, "The mouse is most displeased with the apparent lack of progress." But he has
Like the mouse here. Poor Jared.
But yeah, and then all the reasons why there's reshoots. They said it was like the tone of it was wrong, and then they say ending characters. Making Star Wars eventually came out, and they
Donnie Yen's facial hair. He doesn't even have any, but that's apparently a thing.
Apparently, that's a thing.
So
the two
it's a joke. I'll see what one day.
So the two big ones that came out.
You don't want to spread any rumors.
Okay. Well, the two big ones that came out were from Making Star Wars. They said that 40% of the movie was going to get revised. It wasn't Edward's fault, and that Christopher McQuarrie, who's the writer of X-Men, The Wolverine, and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, finally had the draft up, and his draft was apparently the superior version. He was going to help Gareth Edwards along the way. That was rebuked because Christopher McQuarrie came out and said he wasn't doing any reshoots or wasn't supervising any reshoots, and if there were reshoots, he didn't seem to be in the know about that or wasn't in charge. Then today, Entertainment Weekly came out, and I'm telling you about this because Pablo Hidalgo, who, if you don't know, he's the head of the Star Wars Story Group. They're kind of in charge of making sure everything lines up, I think. That's what pretty much
Here's the be-all, end-all statement for Star Wars stuff, because unless he's really, really obviously joking, he can't lie because he has to be the person who gives us official information.
Exactly. He gave us the entertainment.
So he'll do half-truths, but if he straight up says something, you know it's true.
He'll tell you half-truths like Dave Filoni. He's Dave Filoni's apprentice in the dark side. But apparently, according to Entertainment Weekly, and I didn't write. I have the whole article, but I'm just going to give you the bullet points that I wrote down. There are reshoots planned, but they were planned for spring, but they were pushed back to summer, so Garrison creative team can decide what to retool. The reshoots apparently involve mostly character stuff, giving more intimate moments. Apparently, there is no plans to change the tone. They want to keep it separate. Thank goodness. They don't want to make it according to the article family friendly. They know what TFA family friendly or the saga film family friendly means.
We're still gonna get people getting, their heads blown off probably by blaster bolts.
They did bring in a guy though, called Tony Gilroy. He's gonna be the second unit director. He helped Gareth Edwards with Godzilla, and apparently they're not doing the whole 40% of the film is being reshot. That was said in Entertainment Weekly.
And really stupid.
I hope not. I hope not. So, all of this being said, this was like the biggest dramatic thing of this movie, and I have been obsessed with it. Even more so than I'm surprised you have read, because this is like the film you need to succeed, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, this film is my obsession. But the thing is, I'm at this point where I just trust it enough after seeing the trailer.
Well, I still don't.
I trust Gareth Edwards that if Disney tries to meddle, he'll just, whoop their asses or something. He'll get Donnie Yen from the trailer and just kick their butts with that staff.
Well, be careful, Red.
J.J. Abrams is like, wait, you referenced something I didn't personally prefer? You can't do that. It has to be just based on personal preference and not what the fans would like. And then Donnie Yen, he's just like, then allow me to introduce you to my apprentice, Donnie Yen. And then Donnie Yen just shows up with a hood. Like Darth Maul, and they're like, a Sith Lord, and then he just kicks their butts.
Actually, Gareth Edwards is actually a very humble guy.
He's the greatest.
I would caution you, Red, because those Godzilla trailers for 2014, they totally trick you into what that movie is. It's not.
Yeah, but even if the film is
that.
Sorry. But I get the sense that did they still capture the tone of the film?
Sorry, the dang phone ringing.
Other than you can mute. Because I'm wondering, because I haven't seen those. I saw one or two of those trailers, and I haven't seen the film, but I get the sense that it was more just that they faked everyone into thinking Bryan Cranston was important, which I mean, it could be that they change around like how. I don't think they're gonna change around like how important like Jin was and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing about the Godzilla film. The Godzilla film makes it very dark and apocalyptic, and that Godzilla's like the ultimate bad guy. You actually find out Godzilla's actually the hero. It's all
Oh
about
yeah, that
yeah. He's actually pretty nice. I mean,
let them fight.
yeah. You actually think it's about Godzilla being this horrible, destructive monster rampaging through the city. It's
But I
actually
guess you could argue that's also what they're doing with Rogue One, and we knew that going in watching the trailer. Where
well.
you see like, oh, there's no hope and stuff like that, but obviously there is, because
Mhm.
there is a new hope on the horizon
That's true, and I
on the
guess
binary sunset.
well that and it has different writers
Literally.
behind it than that and Star Wars and Godzilla are separate things, so they have
And that
different.
had a lot of executive meddling.
That's true. I wish Zazubar was here. He actually followed that film like you are following Episode 8, so he'd probably know more than I will about that movie. It's actually not that bad. Godzilla 2014 isn't that bad, actually. It's pretty decent. I know Steve didn't like it, but he respects the vision. But yeah, so
Hashtag.
I've been like following this on like forums and like the Jedi Council forums to be precise. And they were like panicking, like some people were like, this movie now sucks." And it's like maybe there's not this bad. Maybe it's just the point I'm trying to make here, people, is calm down, wait and see what happens, and don't complain until you see the movie. Once you see the movie, or if you start hearing a lot of the same things over and over again, then you have a little right to worry, like with Batman vs Superman, even, or maybe exactly, what other, or Fanforstic. Fanforstic, that's a good example of.
Oh god. Well, at least Gareth Edwards has to be kicked off his own project.
That's true. So I was actually glad when I heard that Gareth Edwards was doing the reshoots, because that was like, okay, that's
Instead of trashing a hotel room, he starts bunking in one of the AT-ATs and just trashes it.
right. So and
AT-AT, dang it!
right. But yeah, exactly. Maybe, and maybe, I mean, I hope it's still a dark film, but maybe they needed to make the characters a little better, because the Godzilla film, those human characters, they're okay, but they're not great.
They're just squishy humans. Who cares about them?
That's true. Although sadly the movie focuses on them a little too much. But yeah, I think we're gonna find out that maybe this is all overblown, hopefully, and yeah, that's it. That was my big rant. This was actually worse
so
than.
cool. Were you scared about the Rogue One reshoots?
Were you following it like me?
I was taking it with a grain of salt for the most part. Reshoots nowadays, people blow it out of proportion. I agree with Joel. I don't know. Honestly, I'm excited for this movie. I'm not too worried about it. If it turns out to be Batman v Superman, you'll hear from me, and I'll tell you it's the bane of my existence. But other than that,
what?
But
there will be hell to pay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but believe me, I'm pretty optimistic about it, which is weird because I'm usually not.
Yeah, and also I just think Gareth Edwards is a much more talented director than Zack Snyder. Also.
Plus, that film had meddling.
That too. Also, we know about Suicide Squad reboots. I mean, reboots.
Reboots. What are you telling? What is there something you're not telling me, Joel?
No, my bad, wrong. So yeah, that was my big rant and my obsession of the week. I'm sure there's probably going to be more stuff coming on by next week, but it seems like because of that Entertainment Weekly article that Pablo tweeted, I think it's going to be okay.
Yep.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm always a little nervous. So, but I think we're okay. Red, you want to give your final thoughts? I think you kind of. I'm surprised you're not as you weren't.
I just hope that the film is still
good.
Doesn't pull its punches. I don't want it to be R-rated or anything like that. Obviously, I don't want it to be super violent.
Okay.
But I hope it, is as dark and sad and.
That was something actually in the early drafts. They said before they discounted the whole, they want to make it more like traditional Star Wars because they want something new, but you still have to make it in Star Wars. It's kind of one of those weird balancing things, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's why I'm not a director. I don't know.
Well, it looks like Star Wars, that's for sure.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, that was it. I think that was the big one. I don't think we have any news else.
Nope, because there was no Star Wars comics this week, so I couldn't review any with.
Yeah,
Plus, I just got my comics like 5 minutes ago.
that's true.
But yeah, so that's our thoughts on the news and the stuff.
And a Rogue One rant and a DC Future rant. Wow, that's kind of cool. So yeah, thank you everybody. I'm GID123.
My mother Antilles.
And I'm Neurocall telling you hashtag Fire Snyder, hashtag not my Trinity. Good night.
Night.